All right. So I am so excited to have my success partner on our call, Lori Model. She is a lifetime six-star diamond coach. She's been an elite coach. She is a Success Club All-Star legend for more than 48 months. And she's also an HIV and hepatitis C medicine physician's assistant, which is where we connect a lot because she also works full-time. So I asked her to speak on our call because she has really just created this like motivation and inspiration for her team, but for her entire downline, and just a kind of different way of looking at your business and how to get people on board and really excited about the business and get your challengers engaged. So I am going to turn it over to Lori. And Lori, thank you so much for being on with us. She is a different time zone and had to rearrange her schedule. And so we really, really appreciate you being on.
Oh, thank you. Am I unmuted? Can you guys hear me? Good. All right. I'm so excited to be here. I have been close really to Shannon and Kelly for like 3 years now. I feel like we were in Christina's originally Two Percenters Club, like way back in the day together, and we all just kind of connected and have just been bouncing ideas off each other for several years now. So I'm excited to be here with you guys, their team. I feel like I know a lot of you just because I know them so well, but you guys probably don't know me, but that's okay. Like she said, I'm in a different time zone and I'm like trying to connect back and forth with the people that are picking my kids up from camp. So if I have to like answer a call desperately, please forgive me. But like there's been some mix up and she thinks she's bringing them to my house. And I'm like, oh, no, bring them to your house. They'll be fine. So hopefully we'll get through this uninterrupted. But anyway, I told Shannon that I'm like not a PowerPoint person at all, but then I decided that I inspired myself to learn how to do PowerPoint. I've never done PowerPoint before, so I made you guys a PowerPoint just to see if I could do it. So I'm really proud of myself, but I'm gonna share my screen because I need a PowerPoint. Shannon, are you proud of me? Let's see, I think this is it. Wait, let me go to the beginning. Okay, can you guys see that? Are you guys good? Thumbs up, Shan. Cool. Okay, so like Shannon said, I've been a coach, well, she didn't say, I've been a coach for a little over 4 years, and I've always really been very passionate about supporting my entire team, not just my personally sponsored coaches. And some years are really, really good years, and some years are kind of like, eh. But this year, I came into the year with a lot of motivation and drive to just kind of change things up and do things a little bit differently. And I got kind of guide that they gave us at the end of 2018 because it's completely different than it's ever been before. And I know, you know, Shannon and Kelly and Kim and probably some others of you are on this call and you know, have either hit Premier or maybe Elite or pushed for it. So you've understood where we've come from to what we have this year. And the reason why I wanted to do something completely different was because I saw a lot of potential in using this guide to help absolutely everybody in my downline push for their goals, whether it's elite or you know just to grow their income. I feel like using it in that manner is a little bit more conducive to helping everyone. So I actually started a group in my downline that's called it's just a messenger thread, honestly, and it's just called #KnowItToGrowIt. And it's kind of where we talk about the road to elite and use it as a roadmap to guide us towards our goal towards the end of the year, whether that is one of the benchmarks that Beachbody has set out for us, or it's to grow our income, or it's just to reach diamond, or whatever it is. I feel like it's such a comprehensive approach that it was just natural to use what was already given to us to help my team to feel like they are no longer spinning their hamster wheel and actually growing, you know, in the manner that they want to grow. So with that being said, so we're using the Road to Elite as a roadmap. So basically, you know, you listen to Rachel Hollis or John Maxwell or any of these people who we listen to their personal development all the time, and they talk about, making a roadmap for your year, right? To map it out, to figure out where you want to go, to reverse engineer your goals. And I feel like what we have in our back office is the perfect way to do that, no matter what your goal is. It integrates both the old leadership ladder and the old elite system to focus both on rank and income for greater growth potential, as opposed to having both. I don't know how long most of you guys have been coaches, but I know, Shannon and Kelly and everybody have been coaches for a while, and I feel like it was always kind of disjointed. Like we were hitting these ranks in the leadership ladder, and a lot of people didn't even really know why, didn't pay a lot of attention to it. But in my opinion, the leadership ladder was actually always more important in terms of growth, because it was very inclusive in the things that are important to grow your business as a whole. And then they had these other big goals like Premier and Elite, but they were very disjointed from the leadership ladder. So I feel like what they came up with this year really puts it all together very nicely, so that you can present it to anyone on your team, not just the leaders that are pushing for Premier or Elite, and not just presenting the leadership ladder to people as this like crazy mystical thing that nobody really knows what to do with. It gives us very specific steps towards our larger goal to form our own unique roadmap, no matter where that is going to lead us. It's the first system that's ever been given to us by corporate that I feel will truly help us to focus both on income and on rank/awards, or whatever's most important to you simultaneously, as opposed to one or the other. So I feel like, I'm not an expert, but I feel like the flaw in the system before was, if you had this big goal maybe of pushing to Premier or pushing to Elite, you did all of these things to get there, and maybe you reached that goal, but just because you reached that goal didn't necessarily mean that you were growing your income just because you're Premier, just because you're Elite. And I know that personally, because I've been an Elite coach when I was fairly a new coach, and that doesn't mean that I was making a whole lot of money. And so I see where the drawbacks are to that old system, and that's why I've fully embraced this system to teach my coaches how to really be very strategic and how to place for optimal growth and income. It also is very easy to reverse engineer any goal that you have using this tool, just by looking at the numbers, figuring out where you want to be, and then go backwards from there. And that's basically what I asked my team to do in January when we looked at it, when we had our first call together. We literally just sat and we looked at the roadmap together to figure out where each coach wanted to go. And then our next call, when we actually had our leadership points, we started looking at what we needed to do to achieve those. But you guys are probably all looking at me like I'm crazy, because it's June, and you're saying, why do we need to know this now? Like, why is June a good time to start this? Well, we're nearly halfway through the year, right? And we all set these big goals in December or January, and we said, okay, by December 2019, I'm going to be a 2-star Premier coach, or I'm going to be a 1-star coach and I'm going to go to a new leader conference, or I'm going to be, a 7-star 2-time Elite coach, whatever your goal was. But we're literally halfway through the year as of just a couple of days from now. So now is an absolutely perfect time to pull out whatever your goals were in January and reassess those goals. And maybe you're already using the Road to Elite as your personal roadmap. I have no idea. But even if you are, now's the time to really review those things. My team and I have been reviewing them every single month without fail. There's a small group of us that just get together every single month, pull the numbers. We talk about each other's numbers, where our strengths and weaknesses are. So if you're not doing that on a monthly basis, now is the time to do it. You want to do it now before Summit so that you have a second half plan, and you can go into Summit energized and knowing what your goals are and what you want to get out of Summit while you're there. Because I know from experience, once you leave Summit, your mind is going to be in a million different places. You're going to get so much information that you want to implement right away, and you're going to be so excited. And you may lose focus if you don't have something right in front of you to focus on, because there is literally just too much. So you just need to reevaluate in the next 2 weeks before we go, figure out where you're at and figure out where you want to be. All right, so I keep having to move my face around. Who is this for? I kind of already touched on this. It's for everyone that wants to grow their business, not just for those striving for Premier or Elite. So I don't know what the makeup is of those that are on the call or those that will watch the call, but if there's coaches, if there's Emerald coaches, you know, it doesn't matter. I firmly believe that every single person that has the drive to even get on a team call like this has the ability to get to Team Builder by the end of the year. It's a no-brainer if you want to grow your business to get to Team Builder. It is very, you know, it's very strategic in how you do it. It's laid out for you, and I think that any one of you guys could do it if that's your goal. Team leader, Premier, or Elite leader, you pick your path and figure out from there where you need to go. All right, so the next thing we did is we looked specifically at the FAQ. I just pulled this straight from the back office. This is what it looks like in your FAQ. If you've never looked at it, I know for a fact that Kelly and Shannon have looked at it. I don't know, you know, about the rest of you guys. If you haven't looked at it, you want to start studying it. And we're going to kind of go through each one of these ranks and figure out what all of these things mean, because I want to tell you why I think that this system is so much better than it used to be. The first reason is because it does have this stepwise pattern. It gives you a very natural progression. If your goal is Premier or it is Elite, you can engineer your year extremely easily. For me in particular, my goal is Elite. And so it was easy enough to be like, okay, I need to be a Team Builder by, you know, the end of March, Team Leader by the end of June, Premier by the end of September, and Elite by the end of December. Like done and done. Like that's just easy. And if you're ahead of the game, that's great. And if you're behind, then you know where you need to make up. But if you've never looked at this before, I really want you to study it, and I want you to look and see what you think is possible for you. Maybe, you know, Team Leader is very far out of reach for you, but you can absolutely get to Team Builder. So let's figure out what it takes to get there. Let's sit down and kind of pick it apart. So Team Builder, it's the first rung on this road to Elite that my team and I don't call road to Elite anymore, but I'm going to keep saying that, sorry. To be a Team Builder, you have to be a Diamond coach. And let me back up for a second and let you guys know that you don't need to hit all of these things simultaneously. One of the biggest misconceptions in this system is that you have to be Diamond. You have to have the points, you have to have your new Emerald, and you have to have your, you know, TV on your weak leg all at the same time. And that's actually not true at all. So I have coaches that couldn't figure out why they already had check marks in certain boxes when they didn't meet all of the standards. So basically, they're just saying that you need to be a Diamond coach by the end of 2019 to hit that first benchmark to be a Team Builder. And to get that benchmark, you need to hold it for 6 weeks. So even if you hit Diamond, I don't know, in 2017 and then maybe fell and got back up or whatever, in 2019, you have to hit Diamond and hold it for 6 weeks. If that doesn't happen the entire year, and you actually finally either achieve Diamond for the first time or regain it for the first time in December, you only have to hold it for 1 week. So that's the other beautiful thing about this system. Back until the year before last, they used to make us hold our rank in December, like the entire month. And people were stressed out. They didn't want to stress out their coaches. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, I was qualifying for 7-star Diamond on the week of New Year's, and I honestly said F it, because I felt really bad for my coaches. I was like 4 weeks in, we only had like 2 more weeks to hold it, and I just didn't want to stress my coaches out, to try to hold their ranks over the holidays when I knew that they were going to fall. And so I let it go. But now they don't make us do that anymore. They say, hey, you held Diamond for 6 weeks in February and March, perfect, you're done. Like, you've got that status right there. We're going to go over exactly how to earn leadership points in just a little bit. But to be a team builder, you only need 25 leadership points. That's not that much. For leadership development, this is another category that they haven't always had. And I really appreciate that they kind of broke it down into, to be a team builder, you need to have at least advanced 1 emerald this year. So maybe you became a diamond in 2016 but haven't popped any emeralds ever since. You're not really developing as a leader. You're not moving your business forward if you're not continuing to develop leaders in your business. So it's telling you, hey, we're going to give you this rank, we're going to give you this title. You got to at least develop 1 emerging leader on your team to be able to achieve this. So you have to have at least 1 new emerald. And again, just like your own rank, they have to hold it. Even though it's not a star diamond rank, they have to hold it for 6 weeks to count. So again, that makes a lot of sense when you're trying to kind of reorganize your business into something that's going to be more productive for the long run. It's not just a house of cards. You're teaching people that not only do they need to achieve a certain rank, they need to hold it, they need to keep it, and they need to keep building. So when I talk specifically to my coaches about Team Builder, all of them know that if they're not already, they need to be a diamond by the end of the year. And we actually, just this year, I was talking to Shannon about this. I had this revelation that the year that I popped the most diamonds, I literally we all pushed to diamond. They all pushed to diamond. And I feel like right after that new year, it literally just kind of came tumbling down to be 100% transparent. Like it was hard. They had to do a lot of things that maybe they wouldn't do on their day-to-day and month-to-month basis in their businesses, and it just kind of fell apart for some of them. And so now we talk about pushing through diamond. I don't ever say push to diamond, and I will never say push to diamond ever again. I am going to say push through diamond, because when I'm teaching my up-and-coming leaders to get to a certain rank, I want them to already be thinking about the next rank. And I don't really know why this didn't occur to me earlier, because when I was actually pushing to diamond, I was in the very first like Bring the Bling or something they had back then. I think it was like Amy Coppola or something said something that stuck with me ever since. And it was, she said, don't just think about your diamond plan. You got to think about your 2-star plan. So when I was not yet a diamond, I was already planning very strategically to become a 2-star diamond, because I'm telling you guys that I know a lot of you guys are leaders and you've got coaches under you that are pushing to diamond. I want you guys to make sure to change their mindset now before it's too late, that they're not just pushing towards this goal, because diamond is simply just a stop, on the journey. It's just it's one little notch in their belt or whatever, lanyard or whatever, ribbon on their lanyard. It's not the final destination. You need to teach them they always have to be looking at the next step. So as my coaches are pushing right now, we are talking about very strategically placing their coaches so that they have a very solid 2-star plan going either towards the end of the year or into the next year. We're not worried about getting to diamond quickly on my team. We're worried about making stable diamonds instead. So I think that's what's really important when you talk to your teams, or when you yourself are considering becoming a diamond. You have to think about where the best placement is for each and every coach for the long run, as opposed to what your organization looks like to get to that certain goal by a certain date. And then finally, my very, very, very favorite reason why the Road to Elite I think is so comprehensive is because for the first time it takes into account weak leg volume. And weak leg volume is the absolutely most important thing that drives your income. And I don't think that people realize that early enough in their business. So we all enter into this business, and either you go into your team's new coach training, or maybe you go into the Diesel Nation Training Academy or whatever, and we all watch that silly video from Michael Neiman with the 2 dolls, right? And he's talking about cycling bonuses and emerald, and it doesn't make sense to any of us because we're not emerald yet. We're new coaches, and this idea of cycling really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we watch it a couple times and then we kind of like put it to the back of our mind, and then we go about our business of becoming an emerald and eventually becoming a diamond and hitting Success Club and, you know, doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing, making our Instagram pretty and inviting certain numbers of people and doing our business activity tracker. But how often do we go back and actually think about why we're doing what we're doing? I don't think that coaches do it enough. And again, I mean, it could just be my team, but I know that I've got coaches on my team that have been coaches for longer than 4 years, just like myself. And they either are not recruiting into the business like they should be, or if they are, they weren't being strategic about where they were placing their coaches. So their cycling bonuses aren't anywhere close to where they should be for being 3 or 4 years into the business. And that is why I feel like this right here is just so critical, that they put this in there so that people not only are pushing towards these lofty goals of being a team leader or a premier or elite, but they're also looking really closely at what's going to drive their business forward in terms of their income. So to be a team builder, and again, it's not really that much. You have to have 1,000 team volume on your week leg in any given 5 consecutive weeks in 2019. So, and that means you can pick any 5 weeks that are consecutive. And what they told us on a mastermind call at the beginning of the year is it's gonna be a launch week. That's your highest week. So if you haven't achieved, you know, whatever your particular goal is yet, 1,000, 2,500, whatever, to be quite 100% honest, it very well could be the next 5 weeks coming up right now. As of today, this very day starts the week where we're going to launch Morning Meltdown 100 to our coaches, right? And if history repeats itself, I know at least for my team, when Ultimate Portion Fix coach, whatever launch happened, I had my highest paycheck ever. So you're starting today, what could be the absolute highest, you know, 5-week volume cycle of your entire year. Now, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. We don't know if something is going to be launching in the fall. They'll tell us that at Summit, but we've already had, this is our 3rd big launch of the year. So just in case there's not, like, these next 5 weeks are, we've never had a more crucial time to literally pump up the volume. So make sure that you are, you know, talking to every single one of your downline coaches, whether they've been a discount coach for 5 years, or, you know, maybe they're 3 levels, 5 levels down, and, you know, they're upline coaches and active. You talk to every single coach in your downline and make sure that they're doing the sample of Morning Meltdown 100 and they're all in for starting on the 1st, and, you know, pumping up, you know, the excitement and all that stuff, because that's what's really going to drive your volume and drive the momentum all the way through the launch. But what's, of course, most key about this here is this is just your weak leg volume that we're looking at. So hopefully most of you guys understand strong leg and weak leg. And I also do know that a lot of you guys are fortunate enough to be on a very strong leg, which is wonderful. You guys might have a lot of volume coming down one side. So what you really need to focus on is, what does that weak leg volume look like? Because that's your limiting factor. You're never going to make more money until you are able to figure out how to increase your weak leg volume. And that is 100% up to you. And that's where I know that there's coaches in my downline that could just be maximizing their income so much better if they just paid attention to these things. So again, any 5 weeks in 2019, pay really close attention to the week that starts today through the next 5 weeks, because that very well could be your best week. I find it interesting. I was actually reading this and I didn't even realize this. It says the weak leg is defined as the leg, right or left, that accumulates the least team volume in a bonus week. The weak leg volume from each 5 consecutive weeks in 2019 will be combined to determine whether the coach has met this qualification. Note that the weak leg determined on a weekly basis, and then the volume for each weak leg over 5 consecutive weeks combined. For example, if the first week the right leg might be the weak leg, the second week the left leg could be the weak leg. So if you have an organization more like mine where your legs are balanced, it doesn't have to be 5 consecutive weeks where your volume is the highest on your left leg or your right leg, it could switch back and forth from week to week. And I didn't I mean, I know that my weak leg switches back and forth, but I thought I had to pick a leg and calculate it, but that's not the case. So as long as whichever is your weaker leg, you know, you can calculate out over 5 weeks to be over 1,000 or whatever your goal is, then you've hit that benchmark. So just make sure that you know every single week what that looks like. What else? So team builder, I think that that's pretty, you know, pretty attainable, like I said, to anyone, even if they're a brand new coach coming into your organization today, having them, you know, get started with, you know, the Diesel Nation Training Academy or whatever your new coach academy is, and then very quickly transitioning them to, you know, a point where they understand this and that maybe this is their December goal is going to be huge for you. Team leader, very similar. You need to be a 1-star diamond at least. Same thing. To be a 1-star diamond, obviously you need to hold it to be a lifetime 1-star diamond. If you hit 1-star diamond in the past and you're not currently 1-star diamond, unfortunately you have to hold it again. So you still have to hold that 1-star diamond for 6 weeks or 1 week in December. You need 50 leadership points, which we'll talk about. This time you need either 2 new emeralds or just 1 new diamond, one or the other. And then now this, you know, the stakes really get a little bit higher. I still remember in the old leadership ladder, that jump between 1,000 TV and 2,500 TV on your weak leg was the hardest one to make. The jump between 2,500 and 5,000 actually isn't as hard because you start to have some momentum. So if you're sitting there with a weak leg volume, you know, you're a newer coach or you just really haven't built that much, and you've got a weak leg volume of like, I don't know, 300 or 400, not all hope is lost. You just really need to start paying more attention to your weak leg and building strategically. Premier leader, I'm sure if you're going for premier, you already know, 2-star diamond, 75 points. You need 1 new diamond for sure, and you have to have at least 5,000 team volume on your weak leg over 5 consecutive weeks. Elite, 5-star, at least 105 points, this is basically the same as it always is, 2 new diamonds, and then 5,000 TV. And again, this is where I think is the beautiful thing, because of course a couple years ago I met all of this. I wasn't even doing that. You know, I wasn't growing my income. I just did all the things they told me to do to hit elite. And that didn't really help me to grow my income this year. So that year. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching my coaches a different way, because I feel like you can still become a team leader, a premier leader, an elite leader, plus grow your income at the same time, which is really beautiful. You just have to be strategic. Okay, so this is for the newer coaches that might be on this call that don't really understand all this weak leg, strong leg, cycling, bonus, mumbo jumbo. So I found this image and I kind of liked it. It's very simple, but let's just say we have a new emerald coach, Sally, and she's signed up 3 coaches of her own, right? This is the weak leg that she is in charge of all by herself. And she's got these 2 coaches and she's got this coach, and that made her emerald. And she's looking at her downline, her graphical genealogy, and it looks like this. So she's got all these other coaches and she doesn't really know who they came from and she's never really heard their names, but clearly they are contributing to her volume, which is great. That's a beautiful thing, right? So on any given week, this is her week. Let's say that she just started coaching in, I don't know, January 2016. This is January 2016. She just became an emerald coach. She's got 540 team volume on the left. She's got 200 team volume on the right. So we all know to cycle, you need a 200 to 100 ratio, right? So with 540 on one side, 200 on the other, they're going to take those away. She'll cycle once, which is $14. She's got some more left, so she'll cycle again. That's $28. And she has stopped cycling for that week because her right leg doesn't have any more volume to cycle through. So what happens to that 140 team volume that's left over? She actually will put it in her emerald piggy bank, which is what I like to call it. That's where you put your carryover volume. So for those of you who have really strong legs, you know, you've got strong coaches above you who are replacing coaches below you, you could have like 50,000, 100,000, 300,000, a million TV in that piggy bank. I mean, some thing in people's banks, and oftentimes they don't even know where to find it. They don't know how much they have, and they don't even know how much money that is equivalent to if they were to just calculate it out and start cycling through it. So that's what's happened at the beginning of her business. And then I pulled this. This is, let's just say Sally has become a Ruby coach, right? And now it is a couple months later. She's got some PV of her own, and her strong leg is getting a little bit stronger. Her weak leg is getting a little bit stronger, which is great. So now her limiting factor, of course, is still her weak leg. She's only got 465 TV, so she's obviously only going to cycle 4 times. So as a Ruby coach, 4 times 16 is $64. So she has increased in a couple months her weekly pay from about $28 to $64, which is great. But Sally keeps trucking along. She keeps trucking along, and about 9 months later, 10 months later, she is a diamond coach. She's still retailing, which is where she's making a lot of her money, but she's finally starting to make an equal amount of money in her cycling bonuses, which is pretty cool. So her strong leg is continuing to get stronger, and she's continued to contribute to her weak leg so that she can continue to cycle more. So as a diamond coach, I picked these numbers specifically because it's easy math. Obviously 16 goes into 32 perfectly. So she's going to cycle 16 times at $18 a cycle is $288 a week, as opposed to that $28 a week that she started with in the beginning of 2016, a year ago. But I don't have an example of this, but let's take any given, coach that started with me in 2015, Emerald coach, huge piggy bank, not adding coaches whatsoever to their weak leg. They've got 50,000, 100,000 PV sitting in their piggy bank, and they cycle $14, $28. If they're lucky, they might cycle, I don't know what the next one is after that, $42 every couple of weeks, and that's it. As a coach after 4 years, because they have paid zero attention to the fact that if they had been adding coaches to their weak leg all along, they would continue to grow their income. Sure, they're still retailing, but for some reason they can't see the value in adding coaches because they're making money from them from retailing, while at the same time, Sally is now making money while she is in Turks and Caicos, as opposed to spinning in the hamster wheel and retailing. So that's why I'm so passionate about empowering my coaches to understand their weak leg volume, because if they don't understand it, they're never going to grow their income. They're going to keep making the same amount of money all the time. Okay, so anyway, back to leadership points. So for those of you who don't know, okay, so you decided, okay, I want to be a team builder. Lori says everybody can be a team builder. How do I become a team builder? This is how you become a team builder. So you get to Diamond, you talk to your upline, you figure out, what the best plan of action is for placement for each one of your coaches, and then you start to earn leadership points. This is how you earn leadership points. Acquisition PV is the very first way, and in my opinion, probably the easiest way to earn leadership points. And you guys are already earning leadership points just by retailing. So that's the beautiful thing. For those of you who have never checked your leadership points in 2019, you may be very happily surprised if you're a really big retailer that you already have several points, because you get points for those 2019 retail customers. So for acquisition PV, you earn one, I'm going to call them leadership points because I don't like the word elite point. You earn one leadership point for every 500 PV produced by either a personally sponsored coach who enrolls in 2019, or your customers who place their first ever order with you in 2019. So, and this is cumulative, right? So say you've got, 3 coaches and 10 customers who have all, 2019, who have all placed orders in any given month. Those are all added together. So if you've got about 2,000 PV between all of your 2019 customers and coaches, then for that month, you would have 4 acquisition PV leadership points, which is pretty cool. Like I said, that's the easiest way to earn leadership points when you don't even realize you're doing it. The other cool thing is if you happen to have a customer who's been a customer since like 2016, 2017, 2018, and you convert them to a coach in 2019, now they actually count towards your 2019 goal because they converted to a coach. So by converting any old customers to coaches, they're now contributing to your acquisition PV. So you better believe that when I launch Morning Meltdown 100, I'm going to try and hit up all of my old customers to become coaches, to, you know, do the coach test group with us or something, because that would be a great way to add more acquisition PV points for my personal goal. And then customers who place their first ever order with you in 2019 is the other really great change that the leadership has made for us. So it used to be who placed their first order ever, whether it was with you or somebody else. But we all know that, you know, you inherit customers who had a coach who quit, and then they become your coach, or they become your customer. We didn't used to get points for those people. Now, as long as it's their first ever order with you, we actually get points for those people, which is really a very nice thing. And we asked for that for a long time. So I'm glad we get that. Only for those of you going for elite, you max out at 50 points. If you're not going for elite, the max points don't matter. Second way to earn leadership points, new PS coach in 2019 with their first ever Success Club point. It doesn't even have to be more than 1 point. They don't have to hit Success Club. They just literally have to get 1 or 2 points in the first month the first month that they enroll, or the subsequent month, the first full month, and you will receive 1 leadership point for each one of those coaches. Now, I did the math, and it's not hard math, but obviously if you max out at 50 points for acquisition PV, and you max out for 50 points at PS Success Club, then you have to get 5 of those coaches, no matter what, if you want to hit elite. Just, you know, for any of you guys going for elite, don't forget that, because I feel like this one is the very hardest one to get, because those coaches have to hit the ground running. One thing that I kind of talked to my corporate mentor about, and she agreed that it was actually a pretty strategic plan, was if you are going to sign a coach maybe today, like on the 27th or 28th or whatever day this is today, and you know they're going to be a business builder and they're probably going to hit the ground running, you may want to wait until July 1st so that they have all of July and all of August to get that first Success Club point on the board. Because otherwise, if they're signing up on the 27th, then they only have 3 days plus a month. So just think about that. If you're, you know, if you're shooting for a big goal, that's kind of strategic, and you can do that. And then the last way is any PS coach that enrolled in 2018 or 2019 that qualifies for Success Club, whether it's 5 or 10, you get 1 leadership point for each coach that hits Success Club every single month. So this is a really good way to be able to rack up those points if you're being very purposeful with mentoring those coaches into hitting Success Club each month. The other really awesome thing is you guys are all hitting Success Club yourself, obviously. So if you hit Success Club yourself, then you're going to double those points. And my mindset is I would never, ever, ever leave points on the table, right? If my PS coaches are hitting Success Club, I'm going to hit Success Club too. It's a no-brainer. And I know that your team has, you know, a Success Club mentality. You guys are going to, you know, help as many people as possible. And I know that those of you that are on the call, I'm sure that that's your goal. So hitting Success Club yourself, getting your PS coaches to hit Success Club, and that's how you earn those points. I think I covered everything on here. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who have never looked for your Road to Elite qualification points, your leadership points, this is where you look. You go into your Coach Online office, very first screen, right there, Road to Elite qualification. And then this is my second business center, so there's nothing there. For those of you with second business centers, all of those points just roll up to your primary business center. So that's why there's nothing there, but this is what it looks like. It's going to tell you on any given month what qualifications you've already met. And like I said before, you don't have to meet all the qualifications at the same time. Maybe you already held your 1-star diamond for 6 weeks, but you have yet to get your 50 leadership points to become a team leader or whatever, you'll get a check mark next to the 1-star diamond just because you already achieved that benchmark. So, you know, just to be aware, it doesn't all have to happen simultaneously, which is awesome because it used to all have to happen simultaneously. All this other stuff is really more for those pushing specifically for elite. The elite ranking only matters if you hit elite. So you could be, and I know that this is true, you could be an Emerald coach in the Team Beachbody organization, which totally is happening, and be ranked like 50th in the entire network, but may not hit elite, and then that ranking just goes away and the next person below you moves up. So if you're pushing for elite, you know, you pay attention to it. If you're not, then don't even worry about that. All right, so what's next? The first thing that's next is you check your points, right? Hopefully most of you guys are checking your points every month anyway, but for the newer coaches that are on this call, for the coaches that are kind of lost and they don't know what to do, they lost their way, check your points, figure out where you're at. Don't wait till Summit to take action. Like I said at the beginning of the call, do it right now because you want to have a game plan going into Summit so that once you leave Summit and your mind is spinning, that you don't even have to worry about your game plan because you already have it. Reassess your end of year goals and make adjustments. Maybe you're not anywhere close to where you wanted to be at the end of the year, and that's okay. You may need to adjust those goals a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just come to terms with something that will stretch you and is also attainable to you by the end of the year. Reverse engineer your desired income to figure out where your week leg volume needs to be and to meet your income goals, then set your benchmark accordingly. There is a reverse engineer income calculator floating around. I know a lot of Diesel Nation coaches have it. I can get my hands on it if you guys need it. Shannon can probably get her hands on it. So just ask, but it's really pretty handy. If you don't know where to start, that would be a good place to start. Like if you're like, okay, I want to make $2,000 a month, what does that look like? All you have to do is put it in that calculator so you know what you need to do. Pay attention to your right and left leg volume in each of your business centers, meaning your spouses, secondary business centers, whatever, every single week. So optimal cycling income growth. So I've got 3 business centers every single week. You better believe without fail, I know where my week leg volume is, and sometimes it flip-flops because like I said, I don't have a strong leg. So if one of my downline coaches signs up a really strong coach and she starts producing like crazy and signing coaches like crazy, I might need to check myself and I might need to check my advanced placement so that I can make sure that my husband's account is still cycling. I just had to do that recently, you know, like all of a sudden he got thrown off, which isn't a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing if you don't know about it and you're not adjusting for it. If you don't know where to place your coaches for optimal growth, ask for help. You know, ask Kelly, ask Shannon, ask Danielle, you know, ask any of your upline coaches, and I'm sure they will be happy to tell you, you know, where you need to place that coach. I still have coaches who have been in the business for over a year that every single time they sign up a coach, they're like, Lori, where should I put this coach? And I am 100% happy to answer that question because I want every single one of my coaches that is, you know, newer in the business, 2017, 18, 19, to feel empowered to grow their income so much more than when, you know, I was a new coach and signing up coaches myself and didn't know what I was doing myself. I was clearly doing them a disservice because I didn't know what I was doing. So none of us knew what we were doing. But now that we know it so that we can grow it, right? Empower your own teams to know their business so that they can grow it and create leaders. Optimally, obviously you want to be a leader, but optimally you want to be a leader of leaders. And that is my whole goal this year, is to really empower my up and coming leaders to be leaders themselves and grow leaders as well. And then last and not least, I have to say this, Morning Meltdown 100, launches coming up. Launches will change your business every single time, but you have to get on the bandwagon right this second. You know, if you haven't started, start now. Start today. Hype it up, you know, just create that momentum. And as long as you do the things yourself and you're genuinely excited about the launch, you're going to have an absolutely amazing launch and it can change your business. Just be smart. That's it. That's all I got, Shan.
Thank you so much. It was so helpful to see the visual. I imagine everybody else feels the same way. And even for me, who's been doing this so long, it's always just such a good reminder of thinking about all those different aspects of the business. And I have no doubt that everybody got so much out of this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The other thing I wanted to share is when you do hit these benchmarks or the different leadership levels, they send you a little, what do you even call those? They're like glass, plastic, you know what I'm talking about? The building blocks, basically.
Yeah.
For each different level. So it's pretty cool little thing to, then you can see, okay, I want to move up and shooting for the top. So wonder if Kelly can unmute everybody to see if we have any questions.
Oh, let me stop share. And of course, my husband was blowing at my phone the entire time. He's probably like, where are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you?
I think I unmuted everyone, but I could have tried. Unmute all. Oh, it didn't work. Weird. Well, if you guys have any questions on anything, really, this is your chance. Lori is a pro at volume, and you said, how many times did you hit elite? Was it just 1 year?
Just the 1 year, yeah. Hopefully, the year that I built this house, like I literally just put my heart and soul into building this house. And obviously I still ran my business and still hit Success Club and still grew, but it just wasn't a goal.
Where did you put your second CBC?
So I know that everybody has different feelings on this, but I'm a very strong believer in placing your spouse on your weak leg and then your second CBC under your spouse's weak leg.
I don't have a strong leg, so I don't have a strong leg, but
you don't have one either.
Putting it under my husband.
Yeah, so I mean, and by saying weak leg, I guess it was technically my weak leg when I started. You know what I mean? Like the leg that my upline is not supposed to be contributing to. So I placed my spouse there. And then I started advanced placing people in my primary business center to his weak leg well before I was 2-star, which really helped me to grow his income a lot. And then once I was 2-star, I was able to place my second business center under his weak leg. But now something interesting has happened in that I have some pretty strong coaches in my second business center. So his weak leg has become his strong leg. And if you guys understand advanced placement, I actually have had to go back to my primary business center because I really don't want to place coaches in his business center and advanced place back to his strong leg just to even out his legs, because my primary goal this year is to grow my income. My secondary goal is elite or premier or whatever. So I would rather place those coaches to even out his cycling before I go back to placing coaches where I need them, you know, in my second business center, to get to my end of year goal. So that's kind of what happens. And that's, if you watch your volume, then you can always just make it happen.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking. I'll do.
There he is again, third call.
We can let you go, Lori, unless anybody else has questions.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. Exactly what I needed to see visually.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, thanks for the PowerPoint. Because
I know, I'm so proud of myself. I've never done a PowerPoint before.
I think we'll be saving this for sure to send to people once they're ready to move onto this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect training for people that are past the new coach training and just ready to kind of dive in and figure out what's next. But I mean, sadly, I have coaches that have been coaches for a long time that were like, oh, I had no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually think our team in general, we don't emphasize this as much as we should. So I think this was actually really, really good, because I think we should be talking about this a lot earlier.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's been a game changer so far for this year is that I've always taught it to my PS coaches, but it's me. I went to the entire downline and was like, who wants to know this? Who wants to grow their business? Let's all do it together. So it's not just me teaching my PS coaches and expecting them to teach their coaches. That's where the disconnect was. My downline coaches didn't know anything. So I'm basically just mentoring all of them in volume 101. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
You need to mentor me too.
Whatever. And then Shannon and Kelly, I don't know, you guys, I might want to put you guys, me and Jeanette and Julia and Kara are running a Pump Up the Volume training for our team. And I don't know if you guys might want to look at it and use it for your team, but it's been pretty cool so far. Or our teams.
Oh,
Obviously, Jeanette and Julia aren't on my team.
Yeah, if you don't mind sending it to me, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll do. So, all right. Well, I got to go get my kiddos and
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
let my husband know I'm alive. So, it's nice talking to you guys.
A couple weeks, Lori.
Bye.
Again.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take a picture of us that are still.
Kelly's gonna take pictures.
Bye.
Bye, guys.